So I wanted to say a little word about this earlier. I forgot it in the previous video. Um, we're dealing with the missing person here, and I'm looking at it through the eyes of astrology. I also use dowsing and tarot. Um, I'm not going to speculate publicly on whether or not I believe a person is alive or deceased, because only God and the perpetrator knows that. So, if the person is living, as I've said before, I believe that they are very close to water, living very close to water, such as a lake house, a beach house, some sort of houseboat, that sort of thing. If they are indeed deceased, they are going to be, according to my astrological research, they are going to be near fresh water or in fresh water because of all of the Uranus things I have found during the research, such as near dams, hydroelectric power. The Cancer placements also indicate water. The Scorpio placements of the 911 chart and the victim's chart also indicate in water or very close to water. So I just wanted to clear that up. I do not know, and I'm not going to speculate whether a person is alive or deceased. I can give a scenario on the type of conditions they are or that are surrounding them. If they are alive, it will be, like I said, near water. If deceased, most likely in water or very close to water. So now I'm going to go on to the rest of the video. Hello, and thank you for joining me again. The last video I did was about deviance markers, and the chart that I used was, I have an astrological suspect for this case I've been talking about for a while, and I believe he had an accomplice. Astrology suggests that he had an accomplice, also dowsing. And so I looked at that person's chart in light of deviance markers. I found one solid deviance markers, and there were two that were questionable, and a couple that couldn't be determined because I don't have a birth time. So now I'm going to move on to the astrological suspect and talk about his deviance markers. If I'm not mistaken, he has 3 that are solid. Some, like I said, are going to be questionable because I don't have a birth time. Mostly, deviance deals with these planets, or these planets relate to deviance quite a bit, however you want to look at it. You have Pluto, which looks like this symbol. It actually has 2 symbols, a cross with a U and a circle in the middle. Kind of looks like a person throwing their hands up. And it also has this P and then an L. Okay, and then you have Mars, which is a circle and an arrow. And then you have Uranus, which is, I don't know, this kind of reminds me of a T with a couple of backward C's and then a circle at the bottom. And then Neptune, of course, which looks like a pitchfork. And then the south node, which looks like a U with little circles on both sides. The north node looks like, has 2 circles. That it looks like that. So that would be your north node. And your south node would be right across the street in another sign. But we'll mostly focus on the south node as far as deviance markers. And then we have the moon, which of course looks like a 2 backwards C's, okay? And so now we're going to look at this chart, okay? And I'm going to show you the deviance markers in it. And so what I do is I just make myself a rough looking little worksheet, okay? Let me put these pages in order. The first test, and I'm going to call that the Mars test. And we're looking for hard aspects, that's conjunct, square, semisquare, and opposition. Okay, So I looked at his Mars and Moon, and they were sextile, which is harmonious, so that's a no. Then I looked at Mars and Uranus. Okay, they are conjunct in his chart. We're working with 10-degree orbs, so I'll show you what that looks like. Mars is at 7 degrees Scorpio. Uranus is at 6 degrees Scorpio, so they are conjunct in his chart. Scorpio deals with things like organized crime, kidnappers, SA, CM, things like the mafia, killing in general, death, and whatnot. Mars deals with aggression. Mars rules police. Mars rules the military. Basically, I just call Mars, it's the ruler of Aries, but it's also the co-ruler of Scorpio. Okay, I just call it Fight Club. When I see Mars, I just think Fight Club. Uranus rules the sign of Aquarius. It rules freshwater, outdoors, hydroelectric power and dams, so on, that sort of thing. It also rules the sign of Aquarius. I can't remember if I said that or not. So he has a conjunction here. That's a solid deviance marker, having Mars conjunct with Uranus. And then I looked at Mars and the South Node. So he has Mars at 7 degrees Scorpio, and then right across the street in Taurus, which is an opposition, he has the South Node at 3 degrees. The reason I marked it here is because it doesn't get marked in these charts. Okay, so there's the North Node. Okay, it's an upside down U with 2 circles. So right across the street from Scorpio is going to be Taurus. And so since charts don't print this out, I just marked it here so that you can see it. It's a U with 2 circles at the top. So he has 2 solid markers right off the bat. Okay, and Taurus deals with things like money and possessions. It rules the natural second house. And this is the second house, as you can see right there. All the houses are numbered, but we don't know his houses because we don't know his birth time. So I've got this chart laid out in natural houses, and that's what you do when you don't have a birth time. Okay, so it deals with how money is made, and so on. It also deals with the throat, the neck, the earth, things like digging, planting, that sort of thing. So when I think of Taurus, I think of things like growing things, farming, anything that can be produced from the earth, building, excavating, those sort of things are all Taurian. Also, food is Taurian, nourishment, eating, luxuries. You think of a really nice brown leather chair, that sort of thing, when you think of the sign of Taurus. And it's represented by the bull. Okay. And so we have the South Node there. And then across the street in Scorpio, we have Mars, the planet of aggression, and a sign of Scorpio, which, like I said, rules things like death. Also organized religion, cults, etc., and so on. And they are opposed, so here he has 2 solid markers. Okay, this doesn't even require birth time. Mars and Neptune are semi-sextile, however, and that's a soft aspect, so that's a no, so I put an X there, but I'll show you what it looks like. You have Mars here, and then you have, it's at 7 degrees, and then over here at 12 degrees, and like I said, we're working with 10-degree orbs. we have Neptune in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is this arrow right here. Neptune is this pitchfork, and it's at 12 degrees. Now they're 30 degrees apart roughly, so that makes them semi-sextile harmonious, so that is not a deviance marker. Then we go to the Pluto test, and those were all a no. Like I said, Pluto looks like a U with a circle in the middle and then a cross at the bottom, or just a PL, okay? And then Mars again is the circle with the arrow. Semi-sextile is about 30 degrees apart, so no. Pluto and Venus are unaspected. Pluto and the Moon are semi-sextile. That's again a harmonious aspect, so that's a no. Pluto and the South Node are quincunx. So that's a no, because quincunx is considered a soft aspect. And I'll show you what that looks like. Pluto here is in Libra at 12 degrees. And instead of being right across the street in Aries, which would be in opposition, okay, it's really not opposed, because it's over here in a quincunx sign. Taurus is quincunx to Libra. Okay, so quincunx, you see Libra here, right across the street is Aries. Quincunx is going to be either Pisces, which is on one side of the opposing sign, right? Or Taurus, which is the other side of the opposing sign. So quincunx is either sign, okay, that's beside the opposing sign. That's what quincunx means. So because it's in 12 degrees here, it would have to be either 22 degrees in Aries, okay, or 2 degrees Aries in order to be opposed, but it's not. It's all the way over here, the South Node, 3 degrees Taurus. Okay, so that's why it doesn't pass the Pluto test. I'll just put it to you like that. Then we have 2 more really solid deviance markers here. So now we have a total of 4. Uranus is conjunct Mars, and Uranus is opposed the South Node. Okay, so I can't remember if I showed you this or not yet, but Uranus is conjunct Mars, and Uranus is opposed the South Node. I think I might have already gone through those, but just in case I didn't, I covered it again. Now we have the Neptune test. None of those. Neptune is sextile to Pluto, which is 60 degrees apart. Neptune is semi-sextile to Mars, that is 30 degrees apart roughly. And Neptune is quincunx to the South Node, which is this little doodad right here, the U with the little circles at the top. So that's all. These 2 are a no, but like I said, he has 1, 2, 3, 4 deviance markers so far that are often found in the charts of serial killers. Okay, now we'll go on to, sorry, this is going to blur a little bit, I apologize. We're going to go on to the 3 or more planets, especially Neptune, Pluto, Venus, and Mars, either in the 8th or the 12th house. That's this one right here. And we'll call that, what is that, the 5th test? Okay. Now, since we don't have a birth time, I can't see what's in the 8th or the 12th house. So I have to just scratch that one. It's possible this is a deviance marker for him, but I can't tell you without a birth time. Now we're going to look at whether or not he has an exaggerated moon. We'll call that the 6th test. That is a moon out of bounds. Can't tell you because I don't have a birth time. Okay, or it can be, the moon can be conjunct Jupiter. It's not in his chart. Not without a birth time. Well, no. No, it can't be. It could possibly be trine Jupiter. depending on when he was born. But no, it doesn't pass that test. So right now we only have 4. Okay, and then the mutability, that is something that can be determined without a birth time. Okay, so mutability is about, you take the mutable signs, Pisces, Sagittarius, Virgo, and Gemini, and you see if there's 60 or more planets in these signs, these mutable signs. It doesn't pass that test. He only has 2 planets, okay, in mutable signs, and that's Neptune and the moon. That's it. He has Neptune in Sagittarius, the moon in Virgo, so nothing in Pisces or Gemini, so does not have what's called a mutable chart. Then we're going to look at test number 8. Does he have Aquarius moon or Gemini moon in the 8th or the 12th? There's no birth time, but even if there was, this would be a no because he has moon in Virgo. It's possible that his moon, depending on when he was born, might have been in Leo, but we can't know because we don't have the birth time. Okay? So those 2 tests are a wash. Then we're going to look at out-of-bounds Mars. I looked up to see if he had an out-of-bounds Mars. He does not. He does not have any out-of-bounds planets. Venus was not out of bounds. Mercury was not out of bounds. Jupiter was not out of bounds. Here's what I'm looking at here. Okay. The moon might have been out of bounds, but I can't know that without a birth time. Now, if the out-of-bounds Mars, if he had an out-of-bounds Mars, and it was in hard aspect to the moon, Neptune, or Pluto, or Uranus, that would be considered a deviance marker. Okay, and then we're going to look at test number 10. Okay, there's basically 10 tests on this. Okay, Mars, Uranus, or Pluto in hard aspect to the ascendant. That's the rising sign. That's this part of the chart right here. This line right here is the ascendant. Since we don't have his birth time, we can't know whether or not he has Mars, Uranus, or Pluto, okay, in hard aspect to his ascendant. So that's it. That would be a possibility. That could possibly be a 5th deviance marker if I had the birth time. Let's see, the rest of them are pretty solid no's. Except for the out-of-bounds moon, so he could possibly have a 6th deviance marker, but having 4 very solid deviance markers, 2 of them dealing with the sign of Aquarius, things like dams, fresh water, hydroelectric power, that sort of thing. Mars, the planet of aggression, the South Node, which is not really a physical thing, it's a mathematical point. And it deals with the moon. It's like the nodes of the moon, mathematical points on either side of the moon. And it is, okay, the North Node is, okay, take me for instance. My North Node is in Aries. Even though I'm a Libra, my North Node is in Aries. And so it's kind of like the question I should ask myself throughout life is, what would Aries do? My South Node is in Libra, and that's something that I need to get away from, traits that I need to get away from. Traits that, okay, Libra is about partnership. It can just go right into codependency, you know. Libra traits are very social and dependent on others in a way. But when you have the North Node in Aries, which is right across the street from Libra, I am supposed to fight those urges to be what I've always been, okay, which is dependent on relationships and that sort of thing. So the North Node urges you to take on certain traits or to develop certain traits. And if they are in a different sign than your sun sign, that's a pretty big challenge. But anyway, so the South Node is kind of like what you need to get rid of. So did he need to get rid of something in a dam area? Also, interesting to note, we have Uranus showing up 4 times, which deals with, like I said, the sign of Aquarius, dams, freshwater areas, hydroelectric power, that sort of thing. Yeah, we sure do. And we have the South Node showing up twice. What you need to get rid of in life. Okay, let me give you another example or another illustration of what the South Node is about. I'm going to attempt to draw a dragon, and this is going to be hilarious. So it's got this tail, and it's got this head. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, my Lord. So the North Node, okay, would be the head of the dragon, where you're going, right? The tail of the dragon is known as the South Node, all right? It's what you need to get rid of, what you need to eliminate, okay? So if that helps you understand the North Node and the South Node a little bit better, I'll try to put a link below about the North Node and the South Node, because I realize that most people that are watching my videos don't know astrology. And but they're interested. They are curious about what things mean. And I'm always happy to explain it. But anyway, I hope that this helps, okay? And like I said, this is a chart. It doesn't have the birth date on it, doesn't have the birth year, doesn't have anything specific to what I'm calling my astrological suspect. And, if you see another person's chart that looks a lot like this, you have to keep in mind probably thousands of people in the world have a chart that looks like this, okay? Because they were born either the same day or a couple of days before or a couple of days after this particular guy. That's my astrological suspect. So just because, you get online and you do somebody's chart, and it looks a whole lot like this, don't suspect them, It's just a chart. And like I said, thousands of people the world over probably have a chart that looks a whole lot like this one. Okay? So anyway, if you have any questions or anything, drop them below. I appreciate you listening, and I hope that you're having a happy new year. Bye-bye.